Welcome back to the Independent Republic of Mike Graham right here on TalkTV. We've got lots going on today. Annabelle Denham's going to be joining us after midday. Also at 11 o'clock we're going to be talking migrants. There's a developing situation in South Wales that we're going to be telling you about some migrants going to a hotel there and locals not being too happy. Andrea Jenkins MP as well, a Conservative MP for Morley and Outwood. She's going to be talking about her animal welfare petition as well. But before we do anything else, let me just talk to you a little bit more about what I was suggesting earlier, which is that the streets of our country seem to be very febrile at the moment. People like Prince Harry don't really help. You know, coming to this country, visiting from California, where he lives, which is in a hell of a state, thanks to the democratically run capital, San Francisco, Sacramento, Los Angeles, San Diego, all of these places completely and utterly overrun by homelessness and by down and outs, and by drug-taking maniacs, people who are just literally running rampant and wild in the streets. It's getting a bit like that here, right? And it's not helped by some of the eco-protesters, some of the eco-nutters that we talk about all the time. There's the Just Stop Oil crowd, there's the Extinction Rebellion lot, there's the Animal Rising crowd that goes to all the horse racing events and try and stop them from happening. Last night in Bristol, we've seen more than a dozen cars damaged by environmental protesters who are now spray painting them with things like critical criminal, climate criminal, that kind of thing, absolutely ruining the bodywork of a car, making it possible for people to have to spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds to get it cleaned off. The police are saying it's the second time climate protesters have damaged cars in Bristol. Last year, around 60 cars had their tyres let down, and it's mostly happening in a place called Clifton in Bristol, which is a rather nice part of Bristol, up near the Clifton Suspension Bridge, and it's mostly SUVs that are being targeted by these bozos. I mean, who the hell do they think they are? The police say we're going to be out there now with more patrols to try and stop this kind of thing from happening. We're going to try and stop these people from causing criminal damage, because that's what it is. But what I was saying earlier about the whole kind of febrile nature of life on the streets at the moment is there is a sense that there is a kind of lawlessness going on. More and more crimes being committed, more and more crimes being witnessed. We've got a lot of people sending me messages today on Twitter to that effect. Jane says, I live in rural Rutland and I can feel it crackling here. I think that's right. And we've also seen other messages. One from Michael. I live in London. I run regularly. Went out yesterday morning and saw a homeless man getting robbed, plus a car being broken into. This was all in the space of about 10 minutes. It seems like a free-for-all now in London. And I think that's right. It does all seem like a free-for-all. And it does all seem as though people are living on the edge. Somebody told me this morning that they came through one of the big stations, Euston I think it was, where none of the barriers were working to go on the underground, none of the escalators were working, things are broken, people don't fix them. It really is becoming pretty shambolic out there. And I don't blame everything on the government, unlike Prince Harry. I think we, as a populace, we as a society have to fix it ourselves. I think that's the only way. Let's talk to John, who's in Newcastle. Hi, John.
Hello, Mike.
How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good man. What can I do for you?
Basically, thank you for allowing me to speak.
Not at all.
On this our fantasy island.
Yes.
Over the years, contempt. I've always felt, no matter what the government's been, they've got a certain kind of contempt for their own people, the British people.
Yeah.
Government is not fit for purpose, I have wrote here. NHS is certainly not fit for purpose, no matter what they say. 50 years ago, I went to France, cutting a story short. I met a lady, she had been waiting 3 weeks for an operation. Back here in Newcastle upon Tyne, I found out when I got back, because I wasn't going to hospital myself, it was 15 weeks.
Goodness.
Wow,
Yeah.
what a difference.
Yeah.
And other points of view. We now know on television itself, not the newspapers, which are a bit of a fantasy, 900,000 do not pay for the television licence.
Is that right?
900, well, that's what I saw with my own eyes. 900,000. Well, what about the rest of us? I don't watch BBC. If I do, it's just to see where the Football League is. You know,
Yeah.
Newcastle, who are up at the top end.
Doing all right, yeah.
Fair enough. And, you know, or the weather. And that's all I see. That's all I see. I'm so 900,000 not paying the licence. It's a bit of a shame for the rest of us. Salavi, that's the government, because I believe that they put the price on, not the BBC. It's actually itself.
Right.
And the second point is that I believe, obviously, British people second-class citizens. If you understand the fact of what we know, tens of thousands, in Newcastle there was one food bank.
Yeah.
Now I'm led to believe there's at least 6 food banks. And so therefore that's what the British people are getting. You know, it's pretty disgusting when you think that people who have never been to this land before, who don't hardly speak our language, who come across, as Nigel Farage would tell us, 3 square meals a day in a hotel.
And spending money into the bargain.
£38 tront wheat.
Yeah.
Livre.
It's unbelievable. It's hard, as you say it all like that, John, it's hard to believe that it's actually true, but it's all true, everything you said. So I appreciate your call. I've got to run because we're late for the news. But, I mean, John, I think, speaks for all of us when he talks about how ludicrous this world has become that we live in, particularly in this country, where people who are born, raised, pay taxes here are not getting a fair shake anymore. You get a better deal if you come from elsewhere, if you come illegally, you get put in a hotel. Some people are in these places for years. No work needed. You get free money, free food, free accommodation. Can't be right, can it? Can't go on, can it? This is TalkTV.